Hi, my name is Curtis Shearer of Enlightened Organizing and JohnLewisHome.ca, the Canadian online store for your John Lewis Home closet systems. This video will be a three-part video, and it's going to explain how to install a Deluxe closet-in-a-box system. We are going to be following the assembly instructions that come with every closet-in-a-box system. I might deviate slightly from these based on some experience that we've learned over the years, but I would urge you strongly to follow these instructions when you're doing your own installation. I'd also like to urge you to ensure your knowledge of what is behind your walls. We're going to be locating the studs behind our drywall, but also you should have a good understanding of whether or not there's any electrical or plumbing or gas or perhaps sprinkler systems behind your walls, so that none of these are hit with the screws that you're going to be putting through the drywall. And lastly, we ask you to please use safe installation practices. Please use all personal protection devices, and in case something were to happen, we also recommend that you have a first aid kit on hand. So what we've done is we've actually built a reach-in closet here. It's approximately 67 inches in width and 24 inches in depth. We are going to be installing configuration A. This is in your instruction manual. Configuration A is the most popular configuration that is used by our do-it-yourselfers. Configuration A has a tower that is generally centered on the wall, perhaps off-centered slightly. There's a section of double hang, and then there's a section for long hang. So that's going to be the installation that we're going to show you how to carry out. The tools that you're going to need for your installation are set up here. A couple of the more basic tools that you are going to need. A 4-foot level is very handy. We've got one that actually has some measurements on one edge, which as well is very handy, and we'll show you about that later. We also have an 18-inch level. That's handy for the side walls, and we'll show you that later as well. That too has a scale on the one side. Stud finder certainly will be necessary. A square as well is going to be necessary. If you don't have a compound or a chop saw or a miter saw, and you want to cut the wood just with a hand saw or a back saw, we're going to show you how to do that as well. A drill, cordless drill is fantastic. We're going to need some Phillips bits, both number 1 and number 2. Also a hand driver Phillips is needed. Pencil, tape measure. We have a pipe cutter to cut our garment rod, but a hacksaw as well can work in that case. I've got my first aid kit, and these are just the assembly instructions. Okay, we've unloaded all of the material that came with the closet in a box. All of the small materials here, including the hardware, the rods, and the 24-inch shelves. You see we're going to be doing this installation in the honey maple color. The longer shelving, we've leaned it up here. We've got one 4-footer. We've got two 6-footers. And then over here we have the two tower gables. These are the 6-foot high sections that will be in your tower that have these grooves for the adjustable shelves. Okay, we're all set to begin our installation. So the first step in our installation is to put up our top shelf. So here's our diagram of configuration A, and we are now going to locate this top shelf. Standard heights for this top shelf are at 84 inches. I'll show the other standard heights. This lower shelf is typically at 42 inches, and then over here typical long hang is at 68 inches. So from there we're now going to go into our closet and begin the installation of that top shelf. Alright, for our installation we're first going to have to locate the tower assembly. Now in our closet we have a receptacle. This isn't the case in most closets, possibly in some walk-in closets. So I'm going to want to locate my tower to the left of that receptacle. I've looked at everything else, and what I want to do is have a double hang section of approximately 31 inches. Okay, so that top shelf that I'm interested in positioning is going to be at a height of 84 inches. So in this corner, I'm going to mark a line on the wall at 84 inches. From that location, we're going to strike a level line using my 4-foot level. Strike a 4-foot line on the wall, and that actually can be a dark line. These lines are going to be covered up by your L clips, so you don't have to worry about that, especially on the top. Okay, we're just going to finish up measurements on the top line, the 84-inch line. So I actually changed my measurement of the double hang section to approximately 32 inches. So at 32 inches, I'm going to put a line, and that's going to be the outside of my tower. The tower, I put a T on the wall for tower. The tower is 26¼ inches outside, so I'm going to put another mark at this point, 26¼ inches on the wall with the letter T for tower. So my tower is going to sit in this area here, and the reason that I'm showing this on the wall is because I've got gables that are going to be going into the wall there. Therefore, I do not want to put any L-clips in that location. Alright, the next step in the process is to locate your studs on this 84-inch line. So with our stud finder, we know there's 1/2 inch drywall here, so I'm going to set the surface material thickness at 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to be moving my stud finder across. This is the left edge of my stud, so I'd like to put a line at that left edge. And then there's the right edge of my stud. Okay, I'm just going to confirm the location of the stud I found. Now you can see the alternating current or the electrical signal is buzzing at this point, and that's because the receptacle that I talked about earlier is directly beside this stud. So it's on the right-hand side of this stud, and that shows we have a wire that's coming up on the right-hand side of the stud. So our stud edge is here on the right, and our stud edge is here on the left. So this is a good indicator of where the electrical is. If you do have to screw into this stud, go on center or toward the left side of that stud. Okay, so we'll carry on now to the right. Okay, we've now located our studs on this 84-inch wall, at least the main studs. We've got one here, and we've got one here, a further 16 inches over. So the next step is to take our L clips, and the L clips are the ones that have the little U shape in the front of them at the bottom. So I've got the 1.5" by number 8 screws in the top hole, and it's the top hole that is screwed into that 84-inch line. So in this case, we're going to go straight into the center of this stud. Okay, so we got that stud nicely there. These are Phillips screws, so you'll have to have your Phillips bit, and then the second hole gets the second screw. Okay, so we've got both of those in. You'll have to watch the torque on your drill bit. Alright, we're moving on to the next stud. So we take the top screw hole in our L-clip, put it on our 84-inch line, center of stud. Now remember, we had the electricity and on the right side of that stud. So I should probably put an E there for electrical. That's a good reminder that there's something there. So I'm going to go a little bit to the left of center for this, and you just got to watch your torque, as I said earlier, on that. You don't want to blow this through the drywall. So we plumb that up as best as we can by eye. I put a longer bit on here, a 4-inch bit, and that's what the groove in the L-clip is for, to allow your drill bit to put in that second screw. The next step is to locate L-clips along our 84-inch line, but in the range of where our tower is going to sit. Now, we do have the tower outside edge marked here. We also have the outside edge marked here. I do have the one L-clip on a stud in between, but there's no other studs here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in 3 to 4 inches from the side of the tower. The tower is about 1 inch in width, so I've come in 4 inches from the outside. There's not going to be a stud there, so we're going to have to put some screw anchors here. So what I'll do is I'll locate the top hole over the 84-inch line. I'll put a circle down there, and then also in the lower hole. I'll also come over here where I've marked in 4 inches from the outside of the tower. We're going to mark those locations there. Now, just to make sure that we drill in the exact proper location, we have an awl. You could take a screw or anything else that's going to pierce the drywall, and just put a little mark in the middle of the hole you just described, and that will make sure that your drill bit starts out on the right location. Okay, the next step is we're going to be putting a pilot hole in for our screw anchors. These are anchors that are going to take the 1.5 inch by number 8 screws. There's a slot in the end, so those screws can go right through the end. So 1/4 inch bit will be used to drill our holes. We're just going to go through the drywall. You might want to then feel if there's anything else behind the drywall at that point. I'm going to go through the drywall about 1/2 inch. Okay, I just got through. I'd stop the drill. You just kind of push it and see if there's anything else back there, but that's very clean. So I'm going to take that bit out, put in my Phillips, and then I'm going to take the screw anchor. Okay, the second hole we're going to do now with the 1/4 inch drill bit. We see that pilot hole. It really does help, so be sure you put those in when you're marking off where you need to put in your screw anchors. So once again, we're going to go in with our 1/4 inch in the pilot hole. Slowly through the 1/2 inch. You can feel it just went through. I like to push it in a bit to see if there's anything there. Take that out. Put in our Phillips. Put in our second screw anchor. Nice and tight and snug, but don't overdo it. Next step is to take our 1.5 inch number 8s, L-clips, top hole, very solid. That's the top screw. Bottom screw. Extremely solid. That's the end of how we put in an L-clip in your screw anchors. Okay, the next L-clip I'd like to talk about are those in the corners. In the corners, you're going to have a corner stud typically. There's going to be some overlap, so you should be able to catch a stud in the corner. I've already put the top screw in, or started to put the top screw in. Okay, so we've got that in. Typically we want to put that to the left side of the stud if at all possible, so to make sure that the L-clip catches the back rail when we're installing it. In this particular case, I know we have nice flat and square walls, so we're going to put in a second screw in the bottom hole. Okay. Sometimes what happens during the drywall stage is there's a lot of mud that's put in this corner, or not enough mud that's put in this corner, and it doesn't make this corner perfectly square. So often we'll have to either back off the bottom screw so that we can pull out our clip a little bit to catch the back rail, or in some extreme cases we will take that back screw out and allow that clip to catch the bottom rail in that way, or the back rail in that way. In this particular case, I will screw it in. If we have to make some adjustments, we will. That sometimes happens as well on the other intermediate studs. If the wall is bowed, when you put that shelf on, it might be difficult catching the bottom edge of these L clips. So in those cases, you may have to back out your bottom screw a little bit, pull out the clip, pull it down, just to give you a little bit more bearing location. We'll see how ours goes with the screws all in. And so we've got our corner clip in, all of our intermediate clips in. We finished off putting on the clips in our tower location. And the next step for this top 84-inch shelf is to just confirm that all of our L clips are level. What's really important is to ensure that the corner clips are level from corner to end. So I got the level underneath, the corner clip here, and then the other clips along the back wall. The bubble is bang on, dead center of my level here, so that's good. What you can see here, and this sometimes happens, I've put my screw into my stud a slight bit higher than the actual line, so I've got a gap here. So what I'm going to do to help accommodate that is pull that down. And now I've got it flush with my level, and that will allow the bottom edge of the shelving to be level with the rest of the L clips. So if we look to the left, all of these other L clips are right on the bottom edge of the level. I'm sorry, yeah, the L clips are right on the top edge of the level. So that's all good right now, sliding it over and coming nice and snug to the underside of the corner clip. So let's try that, and we'll see whether or not that's good. Okay, the next step is dealing with our shelf end clip. That's going to be the clip that supports the front rail of the shelf. We're going to need one of those on the right side wall. This step's a little tricky. What you're going to do is, I would suggest to take one of the 24-inch wide adjustable shelves that were with your closet in a box. What you're going to do then is you're going to position that onto the back L clips. Then what you're going to do is take your shelf end clip and put it underneath. Here's where it gets tricky, and you might be better off if you had a second person. But I should be able to handle it here. I've got my 18-inch level. I'm going to put it on top of this, and I'm going to get everything set so that is nice and level. I'm still pushing in on this so it doesn't slide on me. So I've got it in the L clips at the back. I've got it in the shelf end clip at the front. Everything's nice and level there. I'm going to move that out of the way, and then I'm going to scribe on the wall around my shelf end clip so I know where to put that once I take everything off. So once again, I'll check that. That slid down a little bit on me. So there it is. It's good from the front to the back, and that's going to be where I'm going to put that shelf end clip. Okay, so I'll put my level away. I'll pull off this system, and then we're good to go. Okay, so the next step in our process for the sidewall is to do the final location of our shelf end clip. So we have it marked on the wall at this location here. That's where I've scribed in the top right corner where the shelf end clip is positioned. We like to use our 18-inch level at this positioning. Make sure that it is level, and then put our L clip where we had marked it earlier, and just to do a double check. And this looks to be nice and level. The scribed mark is right on. Now, just as a tip, if you're doing a lot of this shelving, what we often will do is actually mark on our 18-inch level where these shelf end clips go. So we've got some pencil marks on this yellow level to show where the shelf end clips are to be situated. So instead of putting that shelf up and then marking around the shelf end clip, we simply put the top side of our level on the underside of the back clip, take our shelf end clip, put it between our pencil marks, make sure everything is level, and then we have it. So we don't actually even have to use that shelf. Once we do have the shelf end clip in place, which is right here, using either of these methods, we will then put a circle in with our pencil. So now we have the 2 holes that we're going to need to fasten it. Okay, the last step in the process of putting in that shelf end clip is to fasten it to the wall. In our particular model here, we've got a plywood sidewall. In some cases, so that's probably not too realistic. In some cases, you will be able to find a stud, since it is about 16 inches off of the back wall. Other cases you won't. So if you don't, you'd have to use your 2 screw anchors. In this case, because we do have wood here, I am going to screw that in, and also then the bottom screw. So that's in very securely because we are in the plywood, but you will get it securely with either the other 2 methods as well. So we have all of our L clips in, we have our shelf end clip in. The next step in the process is to cut our top shelf. However, this will be the end of part 1 of our 3-part installation video. Go to video number 2 to view the cutting of the shelf for the 84-inch high piece.